So you want to learn how to increase overhead mobility. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you an awesome strategy that's going to teach you everything that you need to know. So the first thing that we're going to do here is with one of these little foam rollers. If you don't have one of these, we've got a link in the description where you can grab yours off Amazon. And we're just going to lay down on this here. We're going to focus on thoracic extension. So I'm going to put my fingers behind my head like this. Don't grab onto your head because we're trying to get movement in the whole spine, and the cervical spine is going to benefit from this as well. That's your neck. So just fingers here. And what we're going to do is just basically arch over the foam roller, and then we're going to crunch our abs and come as far forward into flexion as we can, and then as far back into extension as we can. Now, you've got 12 vertebrae, so 12 joints in your spine that are part of the thoracic spine. They're the ones that are connected to the ribs. So we're gonna start just at the bottom of the rib cage, and we'll do, you know, you can do as many as you want, but I like to do maybe just 2 or 3 of these, okay? And then we're gonna move about 1 inch down, okay? And then we're gonna go again. Coming up and down. Okay, and then we're going to go again and again and again until we get through those 12 vertebrae in the spine, in the thoracic spine. Now, a good note for this is do not do this over your neck. Once you get to the top of the shoulders and you start getting into your neck, you want to stop straight away. You don't want to go any further than that. And that's a really good way to get started. Another thing that you can progress to, this is more aggressive, but it is really amazing. These are called back balls, and me laying on these is not going to do much because you can't see it. But if you imagine, I'm going to put this on either side of my spine like that, okay? And from here, again, starting at the bottom of my thoracic spine, I'm going to lay down, take a deep breath like this. Then I'm going to go like this, take a deep breath. Each one of these positions is a little bit more intense than the last one, and then I'm going to cross my arms over, give myself a big hug. And then I'm going to move about 1 inch, just a little bit, okay? So you want to visualize that this thing is going to move bit by bit, and what it's doing is, if these are your vertebrae stacked on top of each other, and they all move like this just a little bit, but when you get all of them moving together, that creates that movement in the spine. What this is doing is pushing in against this vertebra so that each vertebra gets a little bit of movement in it. And over time, these 2 exercises here are going to do a hell of a lot to improve your thoracic mobility. So now we're going to move into a stretch for the lats, and this is I love this one. So what you're going to do is we're going to hold onto a gymnastics ring or a chin-up bar, but if it's a chin-up bar, it's got to be pretty low. So if you don't have yourself a set of these gymnastics rings, we'll link them in the description so you can grab them from Amazon. And from here, we're just going to step over. So if I'm holding it with my right hand, the ring is out to the right side of my body, and I'm going to step over with my left foot. Okay, big step. I actually should have probably started out here. Big step. And now from here, I'm just going to put my weight down into the arm. So my foot's here to support me, but the weight is in my arm. And I'm getting a really beautiful stretch up my lat there. And what I'm doing here is I can rotate from side to side like this. Okay, and just really lean into it. This is also a really good stretch for down in the lumbar spine as well. And what you can also do, this is another really good one. This is probably at the right height for me, so if you just move back a bit, Cal. So roughly at about chin height from here, I'm going to step back and come forward like this here. I'm going to let my whole body just drop down, and then I'm going to rotate from side to side. So not only does that get into my lats, so right now I'm into my lats here, but this also works the whole anterior chain. So you can see clearly this is pulling my arms right above my head into flexion. And this is, I can just go from side to side here and just work this position as well. So those are 2 really good stretches for the lats and also for the whole anterior chain. The next one we're going to do is for the biceps. Now for this one, the setup is very, very critical. So it's very important to understand the angle that your arm goes on. Now I've lined up directly towards the camera so that you can see the angle I'm putting my arm on. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to lay down on my stomach like this, and I want to bring my arm out to a 45-degree angle. So if this is 90 degrees, or let's say this is 0 degrees, 90 degrees, I'm going to go halfway between that point. I'm going to turn my hand over like I was pouring out a drink, okay? So from here, the next point that I want is that from my fingertip to my shoulder is flat on the ground. I cannot have any part of my arm off the ground. For a lot of people, they can barely even do that. So if that's you, then you're going to be just making sure that that shoulder and the whole arm is on the ground, and that might even be a stretch that's enough for you. For anyone that's a bit more flexible, what you're going to do here is bring this leg up, the left leg, put the left hand on the ground, and we're now going to push and twist the body, making sure that that shoulder stays down into the ground. The whole time you do this, you're also trying to drag your body this way. You can't see that, but what I'm actually doing, if I exaggerate, I'm trying to pull my body like this, okay? Very gently, and that creates this beautiful stretch in the bicep for me. If all I do is twist, it actually locks the shoulder up and you don't get as good a stretch. Now, for those of you that are really flexible, what you can do from here, probably not going to be anyone watching this video, otherwise you wouldn't be watching this, would you? But if you are flexible enough, from here, if you can keep all of those cues that I just said, what you're going to do from here is bring that right leg forward for balance, bring the left leg over the top, and then we're going to open this hand right up here to get a really good stretch there, okay? And that's, you'll know if you're doing it right because you're going to feel it very targeted in the bicep. Now, if your arm is too much this way or too much this way, you won't feel it in the bicep. So you need to just play around with the positioning there. Now, a key mistake that I see people do is this. Have a look. They go down. They set themselves up really nicely. They've got that 45-degree angle. Now watch what happens with my body when I twist. My whole hips and lower body has moved so much around there that now the stretch has actually put me into a 90-degree position with my arm, and that is no longer a bicep stretch. That becomes a pec and an anterior deltoid stretch. So you must make sure that when you twist the way that I'm twisting here so that I keep the 45-degree angle, okay? Maybe you need to film yourself so that you can see if you're doing it right. So now we're going to release the pec minor, and you'll see there's an image on the screen here where you can see what the pec minor looks like. So it's a really small muscle that comes down and connects onto the 3rd, 4th and 5th rib, and what we are going to be doing is getting this little sucker right in there. So get a visual idea of what the pec minor looks like, but what you want to do for yourself to be able to find it is walk your finger along your collarbone until you get to this little bony outcrop at the end of the collarbone, and then go straight down just a couple of inches, and in there's kind of like a kind of a feeling. That's your pec minor there. So what we're going to do, get this ball in, and we're just going to roll it up and down like that. So what we're going to do when we get this here, we're going to come down on the ground, put it into that position that I just showed you, and we're going to get as much weight into the into this side of the body as you can, and just roll back and forward just a little bit, okay? There's not much else to show you there. I like to do it for a couple of minutes on each side. It feels really good, the release that you get. Now, when the pec minor is tight, because it connects up onto the coracoid process of the scapula, what happens is it actually pulls the scapula forward, so it pulls it into an elevated and protracted position. And when the scapula is elevated and protracted like this, and you try and get your arms up, it just stops it. So this is a really big part of fixing that overhead mobility. Now we're on to the pec major, and for the pec major, what we're going to do is use one of these foam rollers here, a full-size foam roller. I'm going to lay down so that the length of my spine is supported by the foam roller, so my head is very well supported here as well as my tailbone. And now from here, we're going to hold on to some very light weights. I've only got 1 kilo weights here. You can use dumbbells, whatever you want. And you're going to basically just move your arms up like this, and then down like this. Now if you watch when I do this, even without weights, my arms just drop to the floor like that. That's what you're looking for. We want to see mobility here in the pecs where your arms just drop straight down. For a lot of you, if you've got shoulder problems, shoulder mobility problems, you're not going to be able to get your arms all the way down like that. So you're going to be here, and you're basically just going to do sets of 10 reps where you're going up and down like this, okay? At a more advanced level, we're just trying to keep the arms on the ground. Without a doubt, one of the biggest parts of developing overhead flexibility is hanging. So from here, I'm just going to bring my arms up above my head and I'm going to hang. Now if you look, this is actually not high enough for me to get my feet off the ground. So look at what I'm doing here. I'm basically just putting my legs behind me and letting my toes touch the ground so that my body stays completely relaxed. I don't want to hold my legs up off the ground like this because that creates tension right through the lower body, which ripples through your entire body, and we want to keep everything relaxed except for the grip. So you're going to just completely hang. Now obviously, ideally, you want to be able to hang from a position where your legs are off the ground, so that's the best. And I'm just completely relaxed. The only cue that you want to give yourself when you're hanging is that you can very gently suck the sternum in, just a little bit. So I just pull that in. So if you watch, so this is me being completely relaxed. Now watch what happens with my sternum. I just pull it in a little bit, and what that does is it aligns my spine a lot better, okay? And when you do your hanging, you want to try and do 7 minutes of accumulated hanging in a day, every single day, until this problem's fixed. So you can do 7 times 1 minute, you can do 14 times 30 seconds, whatever it is that you can do, but try and get an accumulated total, actually I should clarify, of between 4 and 7 minutes. This is a really awesome protocol that Ido Portal put out to the world, and so many people just got such great results from it, and we've been using it in the foundation movement system for years now. We get amazing results with hanging, so don't overlook this. This is a major part of developing overhead mobility. One more stretch that I'm going to show you, which is really going to bring all of this together on the gymnastics rings here. We're going to lean forward, okay, put your arms into this position, and then I'm going to externally rotate and open up my chest and try and come with my arms above my head. Then I'm going to come back down and we're going to rep that out. So I'll go down here a little bit so I get a better stretch. For a lot of you, that's going to be impossible. A lot of you won't be able to get past there. Your shoulders just won't go there. So as you get better, this is a more advanced stretch here. We're going to learn to bring the shoulders all the way through. Okay, and that's a really good stretch for the pecs because it takes them through all the different ranges of motion there. Now before we finish, I just want to give a big shout out to my mate Darren Sharp. Sharpie, thanks for requesting this video, and I really hope you get something out of this, bro. And everyone out there that wants to develop more shoulder mobility, overhead mobility, I hope you enjoyed this video. If any of you have got any videos that you would like us to make, any issues that you're struggling with that you can't get past, leave a comment and we will get onto it and make sure we make that video for you. And if you haven't already done so, make sure that you download the Flexibility Blueprint. It is free, it's linked in the description there, and it goes into great detail as to how to achieve flexibility and mobility over your whole body. So grab your copy now. And if you like that video, if you want to see more, make sure you subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell so you get notified, and you'll be part of our tribe getting our videos when we release them every week. Until next time, see you later. We're going to talk about overhead mobility. And now I don't know. Oh God, I need to sneeze. Okay, I think it's gone.